Welcome back to the North Star Takes podcast. In this segment, we're going to be talking about the Minnesota Wild, fresh off a nice overtime victory over the Anaheim Ducks. Bailey, how are we feeling? That was a pretty exciting win.
That was exciting because we were watching the end of the Wolves game here, which was kind of depressing as they lost to the Miami Heat. And we just pulled up the end of the Wild game. They were in overtime, and 17 seconds in, Kirill Kaprizov drives into the offensive zone, shoots a puck through the defenseman's legs, and the puck bounces off the goalie, and he just puts it right back in.
Exactly. Who else was it going to be?
Of course. He's the hero every single game.
Yeah, especially as of late. That feels like it's building up more and more every game this season. It's incredible.
Yeah, I wonder if he realizes just how special he is. Like, Minnesota hockey fans have just never seen anyone even close to this skilled on this team, and it's going to be incredible to watch him in the playoffs. I mean, the Wild have a legitimate game changer, and then they have Kevin Fiala, obviously, who's a great goal scorer as well. I mean, this is just such an exciting time for this team.
It's so much fun. We've been craving this kind of superstar forever, and now we finally got it. He's been wearing the 97 like he's McDavid, so that's fun.
That is fun.
But, yeah, kind of diving into the Wild a little bit more after this big win. We only got 3 games left. We're getting really close to the playoffs. How are you feeling about this push?
I'm liking it. The division is so tight right now. You got Vegas at the top with 76 points. The Wild just jumped Colorado as of right now. They're at 73. Colorado's at 72.
That's huge for home ice.
Exactly. Colorado's playing the LA Kings right now. They're tied at 1 in the first period. I think we'll probably assume Colorado's going to win that game. We don't know for sure.
Probably, but yeah.
But if Colorado loses that game, that is huge for the Wild. Colorado does have 2 games in hand, so the Wild are probably going to have to win out to have any chance of having home ice here in the first round of the playoffs. But it's crazy how tight this division is, and if the Wild would have just hung on against Vegas that game a couple nights ago, this division would be so much tighter. The Wild would be sitting at 74 points, and Vegas would be sitting at 75, I believe. So it's crazy to think about, but it's been an absolutely exciting end of the season here.
Yeah, I know. Always wondering what if all these little things, especially like even though all these points don't necessarily mean any more than any other games we lost earlier this year, but it's just when you get this close and the picture feels so clear, when you just miss those little opportunities, you just are going to wonder what if, especially we get in the playoffs, and maybe that makes a difference to have home ice. I know Governor Walz made that announcement recently where we're going to have the possibility of basically expanding capacity in the Xcel Energy Center to a larger degree, and that could make home ice advantage a real thing again. I know it still is kind of like just in a different light, I guess I would say. Like it still makes a difference, I think, for the guys to play at home, play in familiar territory and everything. But
absolutely.
I think it just gets taken to a whole nother level with the fans. And I mean, the Wild fans are some of the best in hockey. So
yeah, they are.
I think that would make a huge difference. So if we can do as well as we can at the end of the regular season, hopefully get home ice and hop Colorado, that'd be sweet, especially if we really can make it as close to packed as we can, because that can make a big difference for our playoff aspirations. I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think that our home ice could really benefit us towards not only getting past the teams in our division, but maybe making a cup run? Yeah,
it absolutely could. I think when the Wild usually make the playoffs, they're usually in there as a wild card. They usually don't have home ice in the first round, so it'd be nice to finally see it for once. I think the way that the playoffs are set up this year, if we were to get home ice versus Colorado and then advance, then we'd most likely play Vegas unless they're somehow upset. And so if we ended up playing Vegas, then Vegas would end up having home ice. And then I'm not really sure how it's going to get determined from there on out once you get out of your division and further into the playoffs, playing against teams that you haven't seen all year. I'm guessing it's just going to go by whoever had the most points is going to get home ice. So that'll be interesting to see. I know, like you mentioned, Governor Walz had said that he's hoping on May 28th, as long as the vaccination rates are high enough, that they could possibly just have no capacity limits anymore at indoor events, would just be insane. Now, May 28th is still a few weeks out, so that would probably put the Wild in the second round of the playoffs. So they'd probably have to advance to the second round in order to get a packed home arena. So that would be cool to see, but I'm thinking they're also going to have higher capacity as well for this first series. So
for sure,
I think the home ice is going to be a big deal. I mean, you've heard players talk about how it's just not the same with the fake crowd noise and not playing in front of fans. So
exactly,
I think any sort of extra juice you can get will help. And I mean, playoff hockey is the absolute best hockey to watch. So
100%.
I think, adding the fans to that experience as well, it'll make it that much better. And this team is super exciting. We need fans in the building. We need people there cheering them on and hyping them up. So
Exactly.
I'm hoping for the best when it comes to that. But either way, they're just going to be an exciting team to watch here in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. There's no better time, honestly, for the fans to come back than the playoffs like that. That'd be really sweet. So let's hope it can happen and things keep trending in the right direction for us. So
absolutely.
Kind of going back to that, I know it's still a little bit up in the air as far as who we're going to play in the playoffs, actually, whether it's going to be Colorado or Vegas in that first round series. But I know each team, I think, presents its own challenges. And I know a couple weeks ago we talked about it. We kind of felt like we'd lean more towards Vegas. Does that change at all? Or you still kind of feel like you want to play Vegas? Or you think Colorado maybe they've kind of had some guys coming in and out of their lineup, so maybe they're a little bit weaker now, maybe not quite as much of not in a rhythm, really, honestly, since Vegas passed them. So I don't know. How do you feel about that at this point?
Yeah, I would say I'd still rather play Vegas. We just played them 2 games once again, and we split with them. Although we had a chance of sweeping, we kind of gave up the lead there with a couple minutes left in regulation in that second game. This Vegas rivalry is really becoming something. I mean, the chippiness we saw in these last 2 games against Vegas was off the charts. I mean, they were cheap shotting Kaprizov. You had guys like Foligno coming in and sticking up for him, fighting. I mean, you hate to see the cheap shots, but you also love to see the teammates standing up for him.
Yes, Foligno pummeled that guy.
Yes. There's just so much pushing and shoving after the whistle. It's like, I don't know. And we play Vegas well. We've beaten them, we've only lost to them twice this year, I believe. So I'd still rather see Vegas. I think Colorado's team speed, especially on that first line, is just too much for us to handle. Especially if Colorado ends up getting home ice. I just think that's going to be a tough task for us. But you never know. I mean, you never know with hockey and in the playoffs. So ideally, I'd rather see Vegas, but I'll still be just as excited for a Colorado series.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially, I always think, whenever I think of wild playoff hockey, too, I always think back to that historic 7-game series we played back basically at the beginning of the Parisi and Suter times here in Minnesota, back when we won. I think it was 2013 it was. And that was incredible. That was the best hockey I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just back and forth the whole series. Colorado won the first couple, Wild won the next couple, and they alternated games until it got to that big Game 7 win. That feels like it's probably one of the most historic wins in Wild franchise history.
Oh, so without a doubt.
You just know that moment like that could happen again against maybe Colorado again, maybe at Vegas. You just live for these playoff moments. So I can't wait for these to start wherever we end up and whoever we end up playing. So
yeah, I agree.
I think the prospects of playoff hockey is always fun to think about. But
yeah, absolutely.
I know. So you're saying you want to play Vegas now. How do you think it'll shake out? Do you think we'll end up getting Vegas? I think we'll end up getting Avalanche when the dust settles here at the end of the regular season.
It'll be interesting. On the one hand, we're kind of cheering for Colorado to lose so we can end up jumping to that 2 spot. But Colorado's got 2 games in hand on both Vegas and Minnesota. So if Colorado wins tonight, that'll put them at 74 points. And then Vegas is also playing tonight. So let's say Colorado is 4 points back with 2 games in hand.
Yep.
That puts them in a position to tie Vegas at that point. And I'm not sure what the tiebreaker will be. I think the official tiebreaker is regulation wins.
I think you're probably right.
If I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up, I guess, to see who's got the more regulation wins. But I think Colorado's got a chance here to still catch Vegas and pass them. It's not a great chance, but, I mean, it's definitely possible. So I won't completely rule out a series with Vegas, but we'll kind of know more within the next few days here as this weekend ends and we get another couple games out of these teams. So
exactly. And then it'll be a big game Monday night between Colorado and Vegas. So
yeah, that's a huge game. I'm probably going to have to watch that, honestly. I'm guessing it's on national TV. I would hope so.
I would hope so, too. Hopefully it's on like NBCSN or something.
Right.
But I'd imagine one of that's probably one in this Western Division. But like you said, I'm curious. I guess we've been so honed into on just our division, how the teams we've played this year have done and how we fared against them. But the thing is that you brought up a little bit earlier how things could change if you actually advance the playoffs quite a ways, and how different of the dynamic that would be to like play. It's kind of like baseball was last year, but hockey, I feel like it's another thing too, where you just play a team that you literally haven't played since last year. So that would be kind of weird. And I mean, I don't know. That'd just be another thing you just wouldn't know what to expect, which would be kind of a fun aspect of these playoffs. But
yeah, that's what's kind of crazy is that this year we've only played our division, so you're not really focusing on like the Western Conference like we usually do, or like the NHL as a whole. So we've been kind of honed in on our own division, but just looking at the standings here, I mean, the Wild are at 73 points right now, so they're in second place in their division. We'll see how this Colorado game shakes out.
Mm-hmm.
To put this in perspective, the leader of the Canadian division, Toronto Maple Leafs, are at 74 points, and they've got the same amount of games played as the Wild right now. So I would guess that the West would play the North. So the winner, whoever comes out of our division, we'd end up playing the Canadian division.
Yeah.
And then you'd end up getting the Central, which includes the Carolina Hurricanes, who are at 80 points, actually. They're the top team in the NHL.
The top of that Central is loaded.
Yeah, Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Florida Panthers are having a fantastic season as well. So, and then you, of course, in the East, you got Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, and Boston Bruins, which is just
classic.
That's a classic.
That's same three every time.
Just classic right there. So it'd be interesting. But yeah, I have a gut feeling that we'd end up playing whoever comes out of that North division if we were to somehow make it, out of our division.
Yeah, I think so too. That sounds about right. I feel like that logistically make the most sense. So I'd be curious to see how we'd fare against one of those Canadian teams this year.
Yeah, it would be fantastic to see a playoff series against like the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team we never play.
Yeah, like
and they have
Austin Matthews.
Austin Matthews, who's the top goal scorer in the NHL. So
Ooh,
that'd
be fun.
That would be a lot of fun. We might lose that series, but that would be a lot of fun. Or even Edmonton going against McDavid, seeing McDavid and Kaprizov sharing the same ice.
Yes,
there's a lot of fun scenarios here, but obviously we'd have to win
Vegas and Colorado,
win a couple rounds first. But it's fun to think about, at least.
It is. It really is. Now, I guess moving beyond that, what would you, regardless of who we play, what do you think our, how should I say this? What do you think our peak is? Think we can win the whole thing? Think we can win the cup? Or
I still think it's a little early for that. I mean, this team has way outperformed expectations this year, obviously.
Okay.
I think they're capable of stealing a series or two, getting all the way to the cup. I mean, you can never say never, especially in hockey. If you're hot at the right time, which the Wild are hot right now, anything can happen. But going through Colorado and Vegas, I do think, though, if we can get through those two teams, I think we can get through anybody at that point. So if I had to bet on it, I'd say no, we're probably not going to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup and pull it off. But
okay.
And honestly, that might be for the best in a year like this anyways. Like we just talked about, there might be full capacity for these games, but at the same time, if there's not, it'd be nice to win a Stanley Cup in a normal year where there's packed arenas and you can have a parade and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm just enjoying the ride of this season and the surprise that this team has been. And we know we have stars on our hands in Kaprizov and Fiala, and Joel Eriksson Ek is turning into a fantastic player as well. So we have some good young talent on this team, and this team really should be good for a long time coming.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's so much to be excited about, and I think you really got to enjoy the good seasons when you have them, because you never know when you're gonna come back the next year and just be crap. Because I mean, look at the Twins right now.
Right.
Nobody would have expected that after these last two seasons, and honestly, the Vikings a little bit after that. Big win against the Saints in the playoffs, making the divisional round, being one of the top 4 teams in the NFC, and then all of a sudden they just fall off the next year. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of roster change there to factor in, but still, you really gotta appreciate those great seasons when you got them, because you never know, they could just disappear like that, which is really unfortunate. But
it is.
It's just the nature of sports, and that's the way it goes. So yeah, we definitely gotta enjoy this playoff run, however long it lasts, and get excited about this team, not just this year, but going into the future. Like you said, we got Kaprizov, we got Fiala for the long haul, and I can't wait to see what happens. So, honestly, did you have anything else to add to the Wild here today?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. So going into the playoffs here, obviously, Cam Talbot's been the number one goalie, for the majority of the season. He's just been absolutely fantastic. But there was a stretch in there where Kaapo Kähkönen was the hottest goalie in the NHL. I think he won 8 or 9 games in a row.
Yeah,
he was on fire, and then Talbot kind of came back and caught fire, and then he just kind of never gave the reins back to Kaapo. So I'm kind of curious. You can answer both. Like, what would you do, and what do you think the Wild will do? Do you think they're going to roll with Cam Talbot the entire series, or do you think they're actually going to give Kaapo Kähkönen a game or two?
Boy, that's a really tough question, honestly. I don't think even Evason would know that going into the series. I could probably just take it game by game, and realistically, it'll probably start with Talbot game 1, but that's probably about all he knows at this point. If we end up like, let's say Talbot plays a good game, maybe 2 or something, the first 2, he just looks good. I could see him riding him throughout.
Absolutely.
Maybe if it can get a little shaky, I could see him going Kähkönen in game 3. But it's really hard to say. I think we'll end up seeing both goalies start at least one game. Talbot will probably get at least a couple, but I think Kähkönen will at least start one game of the playoffs. What are you thinking?
I kind of have a feeling they're just going to ride Talbot, honestly.
Yeah.
I think, if, say we get down like 3-0 or 3-1 or something, they might give Capo a shot. But if this is a tight series, I just see them riding Talbot the whole way.
That's fair.
I think they trust him a lot more, and, it's understandable. Capo's a rookie, so I think it's probably smart to roll with Talbot. I wouldn't mind giving Kähkönen a game, though, just to see if he can, live up to the pressure of the moment. So one last thing for you here, just a quick fire question for you.
All right, can't wait.
What's your prediction on who the Wild play in the first round and who has home ice?
I'm going to say we're going to end up playing, I'll say Colorado, and I think Colorado's going to have home ice. I think it kind of sucks to have a couple games in hand on us, but I think that'll be just enough to get them past us in the standings. But I don't think they're going to pass Vegas anymore. I thought as of a couple days ago that they would, but now I'm a little bit shakier on it because they've been losing a couple games here and there lately. But obviously it's going to come down to Monday night, but I actually think Vegas is going to find a way to win this division. So we're going to end up third, and then we're going to end up playing Colorado on the road in game 1 of the playoffs, which is just not ideal. But, it is what it is. I don't know. What are you thinking? What's your prediction?
That would have been my most realistic pick, but I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to say Colorado catches Vegas, and we're going to end up playing Vegas in the first round. But Vegas will obviously have home ice.
All right.
So that's my prediction. I'm holding out hope for this Vegas series to happen because I just think this is a fantastic rivalry we have brewing, and I think it'd be the most entertaining outcome for sure.
I couldn't agree more with you there. Honestly, I'd much rather play Vegas, and if we get the old Central Division foe with Colorado in the second round, I'm open to it, honestly. So
yeah, absolutely,
it's the best way I can shake out. But that's going to do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Be sure to like these videos and subscribe to our YouTube, as well as give us a follow on Instagram. Stay tuned for more content.